2 weeks. It's still a category A subject, Nathan.
I've already done.
We did it. And I had
Locks. I can do it. You have 3 people because it's all the same. So someone will need that. Alright, which is.
Yeah.
I don't continue, please.
Hey, why is everything in Japanese? But this is Philippi's room. It's called Phil Boneda's computers and. Maybe the Phil Boneda sold his room to the Japanese.
Gentlemen, how are you doing?
Okay, so
About yourself?
Oh, good.
Sweet. Alright, now. Where is this stuff? Okay, guys. Is this pretty much the class?
Yep.
Yeah? Okay.
who Lawrence? Is he back? It's called.
So. Alright. Sweet. So, I've got, it's a little bit disorganised because Mr. Philby has left me with just a big list of stuff that you guys need to do. Now, just quickly, what are you guys currently doing? Do you actually have any work ongoing? Because he hasn't told me anything.
No.
No? Fantastic, because we're gonna have fun. Okay? So, what Mr. Philby wants you to cover over the next couple of weeks is basically exactly what Year 12 are doing and the sorts of ideas that you're going to be doing.
I didn't realise that he was in your class.
Oh, that's okay. That's okay. We only just started. Okay. What you're doing, what we're looking at, is something that's going to be. I'm really excited about teaching you because it's a method of approaching any design problem, and this includes everything from English essays through to designing a hardware product, like designing something in the workshop, through to code. And it's a way of approaching a design problem that you should just make a habit from now on. Okay? And once you have this, I'm going to give you a scaffold of a report. And once you have that, you can slightly modify it in many, many different ways, okay, depending on what project you're doing. But if you approach it in this way every single time, you're going to write amazing reports and you're actually going to make really, really good design decisions and be able to knock over projects very, very quickly, and probably on top of that, become very employable. Okay, so I've spent a few years out in business as an engineer. Okay, and this was the thing that I got hammered with every single day because I didn't know how to do it. And so this is one of the things I'm particularly passionate about, is this approach to approaching a problem and dealing with the problem, which is really straightforward and makes sense when you're doing it. But if you don't do it right, you always get into trouble. Okay? So typically, and I'll just go, typically, you guys are given an assignment, you're given a problem, and you look at it and you go, okay, I know how to code, I need to get these inputs, these outputs, I'll just start coding, right? And I bet all of you just sit down and you get on Pascal or you get on whatever and you start writing it out. You've got an idea in your head about how you're going to approach the problem. You start doing it, and then you suddenly realise, halfway through, I forgot. I meant to have an input when the user presses this, or I meant to change this up. And then you have to rewrite a whole section of your code. And by the end of it, if someone was trying to read that code and figure out what was going on, it's a nightmare, right? Even yourself, a month later, try and read that code, you've got no idea what's going on. Yeah? Okay, so we're going to work on what you do to actually fix that and make really, really good design principles, and in the end, knock over these assignments much, much quicker than you would otherwise. Okay, and it just comes down to organisation. So that's what I wanted to focus on. That's kind of what we're doing. So the next thing, just the thing that I thought we'd do is in pairs or in threes or whatever you really want. I don't really care. Okay, a group project where you tell me in general what you want to make in the end. And I'm thinking a game of some kind, maybe like a maze, or I'll show you an idea that I've got from my youth, okay, which in Pascal I feel you guys could program with pretty easily, okay, something similar, okay. Otherwise, you can come up with your own idea of some sort of game that you want to produce, okay, and then over the next 6 lessons we're going to do one section of this design principle each time, and you'll see how easy it is to come out with something that works at the end as compared to as if you sat down today and tried to code it. Okay, does that make sense? So that's what I'm thinking of doing. Does anyone think anything better, or you want to go with me on this?
Yep.
Okay, cool. So that's fantastic. So how I'd like to approach this next 2 weeks is team effort, team building, okay? We're going to be working in pairs, but there's going to be ample time to, or threes or whatever, ample time to critique each other. And in fact, you'll see today why that's so important, okay? So today's step, which we'll get to in a moment, okay, it's actually really important to hand your work to someone who doesn't even know what you're doing and have them look at it and tell you what's wrong. Because that's one of the biggest things about this is having other people look at it. Okay. I guess what I'm going to do first is show you one of the game, or an example of the game that I was thinking of maybe implementing, and explain the game. Okay, and then you guys can start having thoughts about it as we go about everything else. Okay, and then I'll give you a rundown of this design process. So, has anyone ever played? Guys, do you mind if we turn off the lights?
Yeah, I'll touch on that.
Is that okay? Okay. So, guys, has anyone ever played a text-based game?
Yes.
Yeah? Okay. This exact one. Okay. So this one is a complex text-based game. When I first started using computers back in the late 80s, late 80s, we had this beautiful green screen computer. I was living in New Zealand. It was fantastic. Okay, started playing these games. The early games, you didn't have any visuals. The computers were the coding was too difficult. The computers were too slow and didn't have enough memory in order to store images, let alone moving images that actually did stuff. Okay, and even if you did have moving ones, they were really, really basic. Like really basic. So some of the most popular and fun games were these text-based games, which were purely based on your imagination. Okay, it was largely based on your imagination to develop things. They'd often start and just be like, you find yourself in a room. There's a door to the north. There's a box to the side. What do you do? And then you'd have to just enter something like N, and that would go, okay, you go north. You find yourself in a corridor. The corridor goes left or right. There's a picture in front of you. And you could do like, look at picture. And then it would come up with a screen. So I'll show you an example. This one's a little more complex than I want you to start thinking about doing. I want to make this really, really simple, and I'll explain in a second. But so here we go. You find yourself in a room. You consider trying to look around to see if there's anything useful nearby. I recommend you try typing help to get an idea of what sort of commands will work. So it gives you an example. It actually gives you an indication of what so you can write this. And it goes, okay, you take a quick look around. There's a box sitting up against the wall that is sealed with a large and ornery padlock. There is also a bed tucked into the opposite corner of the room. So something that people do who maybe take a close look at the bed, prison style. It doesn't look very comfortable. Just in case you decide to look underneath it and notice that there is a kid here. You grab the key from under the bed. It seems pretty old. You add it to your inventory. Okay? So there's little steps that happen. And it's all text-based. Now when I saw this, or when I remembered this, I thought, hey, you guys can probably do something similar in Pascal. Okay, you can output strings. Okay, you can store some data. But what I'm thinking to start off with, just to start off with, would be something like, you don't even need to pick stuff up. I don't have a pen on me. I was thinking something like just a maze, nothing more, with some descriptions of what's going on, and you need to get to the other side. And it might only be 3 or 4 steps to start off with. Start with a really simple maze and really simple instruction set, where maybe it's just north, south, east, west. So it might be, you start in a field. There's a path going west. There is a forest in the north. There is this to the left. Okay? And then you go north. You arrive at the forest. You cannot go north any further. You can go left or right. Do you know what I mean? And then you sort of work around your environment and find where you need to get to. Does that make sense? And then we can start adding more complexity to it. Does this sound okay?
Yep.
You guys, and it's something you guys can do, I think.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
Okay, good. So we can start. So just start letting that bubble in your head, the sorts of possibilities, okay, and what you might consider doing, and the adventure you might consider having. Right? There's ones that are set in medieval times, ones set in fantasy worlds. There's ones set everywhere. You know, they just use your imagination. Okay. Now, time to get to the design of this stuff. Sorry, I didn't have time to staple it. And for the moment, just share this between 1 and 2. You can, or between 2 people, whatever. You can figure out your groups in a bit. Okay, I don't mind. This is just to have a look.
Nice.
Okay. And so, guys, this is just the scaffold for today. You guys will be filling this in a little bit. Okay. But before you get into it. Okay. So I want to show you the design cycle. Now this I don't think is actually taught to you explicitly like this at school, but I think it should be personally. You're taught this stuff, but you're taught it in lists like this. So it's a chapter of text. And it's like, you need to do this, followed by this, followed by this. Okay? But if you think about it in this diagram that I'm about to show you, things begin to make a little bit more sense. Okay? I think. It works for me anyway. Alright? So, this is called the Z model. And this is what we base almost all our design at university and onwards in engineering on. Okay? And it's really simple. You create a thing called the requirements specification. And that's what we're going to be doing today. It's where you figure out what you're actually trying to do. And this is before you do it. Okay? You need to, but this is at a high level. This is what, so where this starts is a client comes to you, and you're the engineer, and or a marketing person or whatever. Everyone who's involved in creating this product come into one room together. They sit down at a desk, and this could last many months. They sit down and they're like, what do you want? When I give you this product in a few months, when I actually hand you this product, what would you be happy with? Okay? Now that is a really difficult question to ask, because sometimes they're not very, like the client actually doesn't have much of a clue. Okay? Or they have a really big idea in their head, but they're not able to express it in words. Okay? And it's your job as an engineer to put all that information down onto a bit of paper and describe it as accurately and completely as you possibly can. Now we often don't do this, okay? Because often we kind of have an idea what we want. And so I've got an example on this sheet, right? You might be this great engineer and a guy comes up to you and says, I want you to build me a toaster. You're like, yep, I know what a toaster is. Sweet. I'll make you one. And so you go make it. Comes back a few weeks later and you're like, here's your toaster. He's like, it's the wrong colour. Not paying you. Go away. Right? Or I wanted one that could cook 3 bits of toast at once, not 2. Right? So that happens all the time in all sorts of businesses. I was talking about it with the class that's making jewellery at the moment. Right? Same thing. If you're making something for someone, you need to actually ask them what they want and write it down. It's like a contract. Okay? But you need to get everything out. If you hand them a product and they plug it in, how is it going to work? What's it going to do? Exactly. What's it going to do when it breaks down? Exactly. Okay? Everything you can possibly think of gets on that bit of paper. Okay? But the important thing, one of the things here is it doesn't actually tell you how it's designed. Okay? So they come in and say they want a toaster. On a toaster, it's going to cook bread, and it's going to be this colour, and it's going to be plugged into the wall, and I'm going to be able to adjust the knob to get different darkness. Okay? And you get that down on paper, that's fantastic. Now, you as the engineer have freedom to actually go and figure out how you do that. Do you take that electricity and run it through coils of tin, which will heat up really well? Or do you use some electroconducting magnet to get spin up and heat up and then go? Do you use those coils that go back and forth and so your bread comes in a pattern, like toast in a pattern? Or do you use heating plates that cook it completely the same, right? There's all sorts of different ways that you could design. You might design different electronics inside. You might use an egg timer, like a timer, a literal timer, a clock, to figure out how long it's going to be. Or, in the new ones, they actually go, okay, we know that these things don't cook always that accurately based on a timer. And the new ones actually have little cameras in there that look at the colour of the bread, right? And then they can figure out that that's going to be exactly light or that's dark or whatever. Does that make sense? Yeah?
Yep.
So it's now your job. So once you've got that specification, the user shouldn't care how it's made, right? How it works, just that it works and does what they want. So the first step is, okay, how am I actually going to make it? Okay, how's it designed? Then you get down into the detailed design, and this is where you get right down to the small stuff. You're like, how am I going to wire it? How am I going to build this component? Okay, which components am I actually going to put into my device? Okay, and then you go and do it. You just go. You go do it, and this might take a little bit of time. This is the actual coding. This is the actual making of the product. Now, this is the V side of it. And this is where it gets interesting. And you can make this life really easy or really hard. Okay? The way to make it really easy is when you get your requirement specification, when you do this, you then go write a list of tests that's based exactly on those specifications. Okay? The specification was toaster was blue. Right. My test is it blue? Tick. Does it cook it? When I set it light, it cooks the toast light. Tick. When I set it dark, it cooks the toast dark. Tick. So you just have a massive list of tests, and most of them are really, really simple. But the way you've got to think of it is, if I'm a client and I've asked for something and it doesn't actually give me what I want, I'm going to throw it back in their face. And so as an engineer, you need to think the same thing. So you need to come back with this So what these are the acceptance tests. When the final product comes through, I've got my acceptance test ready to go. And if they all pass, then there's nothing that the user can do, that the client can do. I've given them their product. Okay? The system design is about the integration tests. And we'll talk about these in the next lesson. Okay? The detailed design is just the detailed test. So when you design this little part, you go, well, does it work how I expect it to work? Okay? And then when I put it together, does it work how I expect it to work when I put it together? And then when it's finished, does it work how I expect it to work when it's finished? So as you do each thing, at the same time, you design your tests that you're actually going to do at that stage on the way back up. Got it? Does that make sense? Any questions? really simple when you see it that way, I think, right? But no one ever does it, except the professionals. And this will make you so employable as an engineer or a designer, computer designer. So I may use the toaster as an example, but this is exactly the same with coding, okay? You start with what do you want your code to do? What are the ins, the outs? How does it respond in different situations? System design, okay? What are the little modules that I'm going to use? What are the parts? I'll have a user input part. I'll have a user output part. I'll have an algorithm that will do this specific thing. I'll have a map, maybe. Like we're talking about these maps or whatever. I'll have a map algorithm. I'll have a movement algorithm. I'll have my inputs, my outputs, right? So all the things and how they fit together. And then I go design each of those things. Okay, how does the map actually work? When I put it into my kind of like Pascal. This is the point at which you say, okay, I'm going to use Pascal or C or whatever. Okay. A better way to think of it might be, okay, this is the assignment that's given to you, usually. This is your pseudocode, flowcharts. This is your coding happening, designed and then made. Okay? And then you test those things as you go back up, each little bit as you go. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Okay, cool. So that's the thing. So today what I want you to do is get into your groups, and what we're going to do is I want you to come up with your product. What game are you actually making? Give me every little bit of information you can. And think of it as though you are the client. Okay? You are the client and the engineer working together to fully define your problem. Every little thing. What are my inputs? What are my outputs? What do I want to happen? Okay? What do I see on the screen? Anything at all. Okay? You don't need to get into the entire story of the game, okay? But just get into the general specific things that would make a client happy, okay? And that's it. Let's get into it, and then start writing your lists, okay? On the first page, it's just a general 2 or 3 sentences telling me what your product is, what the game's about, how would you sell it to someone, okay? On the next page, you've got that's the introduction. On the next page, you've got the requirement specifications, and that's just the massive list of everything you can possibly think of. Okay? And on the final page, you've got your tests, which should just almost be exactly the same. Okay? Make sense? So that's what we're doing today. Once you've started writing your tests, once you've started writing your list, bring them to me, and I'll pretend to be the client or the engineer and tell you where the holes are in your specification. Okay? And where we're going to go over the next few days, guys, is we'll do the specifications, we'll figure out the tests, then we'll start doing the system design and the tests, and then we'll design them. Okay? You all right? Happy? Make sense? You excited?
Okay.
You're going to get a good game out of it, like a really good game. One that you'll keep knowing is you might be using a coach. Yeah. No, you're not. You're good.
Oh, you got.
You guys have
I don't think so.
no, you got 3. Guys, everyone's got just 2 pages, do they? Yeah, okay.
We have 3.
So no one has the one that says final tests to ensure. Anyway, no. Okay, that's all right. I'll photocopy that, but you guys can start on your specifications. Okay. And introduction.
Okay. So, what do you want? Making a game. What do we want the game to do?
I think we should go.
Does that make sense, guys? Is this all good? And I know I'm repeating a lot of stuff, but it's so important. And once you get used to this structure, you'll start using it for English essays. You'll start using it for like any project you do at home. Like you'll just be like, what do I want? Define it. You know, and your parents will come up to you and say, oh, can you just go do that? And tell me how. Tell me everything you want. It's alright. And I'll come to that. It's a different way of thinking that is actually really, really important. It's very important.
We want text-based adventure. Do we want it to be in a maze format?
Yeah, why not?
Right?
What else do we want it to do though? This is the listing bit.
This is just what we're trying to make.
Okay.
So,
Text space. I'm not that great at spelling, according to my English teachers.
text-based adventure. Yep.
Maze was the next thing. What else do we need it to do?
Do you want to have an inventory?
Yeah, I was about to say, do we need inventories and yeah. Then we also need items for the player to collect. Keys and coins and treasure and all that.
Should there be any kind of combat?
You guys are pretty trustworthy, right? If I just went and did it.
Yeah. Philby does that all the time.
I don't want you on the computer.
Philby runs off from the class like half of the period.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And then doesn't turn up.
Let's get into this. I'm gonna be brutal, guys. When you come to me, I'm gonna be the client that's like, if you gave me this would be shit. This would be shit. Right? I'm gonna be brutal. So try and be comprehensive in what you've got, because I'm gonna tell you what's wrong. And I'm trying, like, in a way, I'm trying to help you, because this is what happens when you head out into business. Like, a lot of you as computer guys, you'll start your own business. You will. You know, you're in the brighter end of the guys, right? And you'll become engineers, and you'll be expected to do this sort of stuff. But the first mistake you'll ever make is someone will come in and not give you all the directions you need, and you'll make something, and then you'll be left in the lurch because it won't be exactly what they envisioned, and you'll be left going, you're an idiot. But you know, like, you get caught out all the time. So making sure it's down on paper is one of the really hard things. So anyway, I'll be back. Be good.
Do you want to have a combat game?
Yes.
Combat. Yes. Let's try to put that in. I'm just trying to think how.
Well, I mean, if you put basic weapons into the game, then you could do it. You could do a thing like the weapon will do this much damage, this much damage.
Oh,
You
yeah.
have a randomized function.
Yeah.
You just select which one, so it could be from 1 to 3 damage, randomized.
Yeah, I get that. Yeah. That's a good idea. Because then you're not just walking around a random maze map looking for items.
Okay.
So basically, you tear through keyboards every half an hour.
Do we want to add like horses and stuff?
Well, I
Is
mean,
that too complicated?
you don't really need to do that quickly.
Yeah.
Because speed isn't really relevant.
Okay.
Because you just move the room to room and there'll be something there. How do you react to that?
Yeah, I guess.
You
Yeah.
don't need to get there in a certain speed. Do you want to
I'm out of ideas now.
Okay.
Do we need a health system? Because we're adding a combat system, so.
So I guess we're writing down the you'd need to find we're writing down like things we need to ask the client.
Yes, I think so.
So the client is coming to us and asking us
You make your
It's tough, isn't it? Yeah. Do you know what might be easier? Is one of you guys. One thing that might help is one of you go in with an idea. One of you have an idea of what you want, and you're the client. The other two are the engineers, who will recognise when the client is not giving them enough information. Okay? So the client comes in and says, I want a game. What sort of game do you want? A text-based game. Okay. Where is it going to be set? What do you want? What sort of actions do you want to happen in this game? Oh, well, I want it to be a fantasy game, and I just want to be able to move through the world. Okay. Do you want any objects that you can pick up? No, that can be optional. Do you know what I mean? Like, so the engineers can question him, and you got to and just keep hitting him with questions until he tells you everything you want, because that might be a good way to approach this problem. Okay.
Thank you, sir.
That's just to add to the back.
That's the testing. Text-based maze. Inventory.
just like the sheep. I know the lines I messed up, but no, we got that.
So you want what genre, right?
Maze. I want to walk around in a maze. Okay. Around in the maze. Text-based. Sort of think about text-based maze.
Yep. That one is system design.
Yeah, so can you do this? I think mine, if it's a text game, then let's
Need a type.
I think mine is actually
That's an input.
so yours is stronger than mine. I just don't like playing it. It's still a bit of I never tried again. How much do you get in battery? That will be the final level of connection. Alright. Like you go around different villages.
Full slot inventory.
Left will never work. No. No. This is you want the left. 18 you said 80. No.
16 room.
You did.
Do we say how big a room is?
Doesn't matter.
Okay.
Because there's no visuals attached to this. So it's just, you're in a room, this is in there.
What do you want to do? Good.
Or are you okay?
We're going pretty okay so far.
Okay. Oh, you got stuff. Sorry, I didn't realise that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're just putting down the system stuff.
Oh, okay, good. Yeah, good. Excellent.
What genre should it be?
Adventure,
Just have one dynamic. Just have
pirates, I don't know.
I'll make the season.
Okay.
Is it fantasy or is it sci-fi?
Sci-fi sounds more better.
Exactly.
Sci-fi is just amazing.
If you're too ambitious,
Easy.
you're going to struggle.
Okay.
What is so here's me asking what is the minimum what would be what do you want? Free roam. Okay, around the world.
Do we want to put armor?
We
Okay, so 6 by 6 squares, 4 by 4 squares, and 2 by 2 squares.
armor might be better. Yeah, actually, because that could be the way we increase the amount of health you have.
Yeah.
It's like an old phone game.
Okay.
You don't know? If you understand what I mean so if it's going to be
like they do in Dragon Fable, maybe it's actually not having your base
Because different armor, we can allocate how many health points it has.
This is really easy for me to highlight it. If he's in grid 1-1, then that's the description. And if he's in grid 2-1, he's in grid 3-1, and if he's in 1-1, where?
No, I was actually like, all I do is every time I turn a corner,
That's nice, easy. And then they could get to the house in a couple of different ways, but you don't know how complex it is.
What do we use the keys for? Opening rooms and treasure chest things.
And then you might follow and then if you go north from there, or if you go the road that goes that direction from there, it goes straight away. Okay. So it's not grid based because this is like that wasn't me. Up and down. You've got something that's a little more complex. I love that. Maybe you can't get more and that's far more complex. As a client, is that what you want? Or do you want a simple grid-based node that allows
What do coins do?
Do we want to use going west twice somewhere else?
We don't really need coins. We just need keys and swords.
And maybe armor?
Sorry, yeah, keys, swords, and armor. Then
We don't really need coins unless there's
unless there's a shop that would make it.
really hard
Yeah.
to code.
So keys you can find on the beds and whatever the fuck to open the doors.
Swords we can find in chests that the keys open or just lying around the place. We could have a whole room dedicated to like an armory or some shit.
So that's just the questions I'd be asking, and you should be answering as a client. Now, because you're both here, that's really easy. So, for example,
Silver and gold. Nice.
One of those things, but it could be bigger. They can be a minimum of 3x3. If I give you a 3x3, I can build my contract. If I give you 4x4, I've got above and beyond to make a better game. But that wasn't necessary. Like 3x3, but preferably code. No, don't make it preferably. Make it easy for yourself. Say minimum, make them lock into a minimum. Okay? That's what you need to do as an engineer. If they say preferably, that's annoying because if you give them the minimum, do they then say, I can give you what you want. If you want it more, you say, this is what you want. Okay, that's what you get on the
If you do,
and that's what you get angry at. So I say, hey.
do we design the base so that it's in a square?
Don't tell me
So
what I might do. 4x4.
Yeah.
Get rid of that language.
It's gonna be bigger than 4x4 if we're having 16 rooms.
4x4 is 16.
I'm teaching you really good life skills.
Oh, whoops.
Because you will be stuck.
Shit, I forgot. Yeah. So we're not gonna have like corridors and that bullshit. Good.
Actually, you know what?
5x5. Okay.
And they're like,
That way you can kind of box it.
tell me what you want.
Nice. Oh, that's awesome, man.
What are you doing? I know the law. What did you want?
So how, if we run into like a boss or enemy guy, do we just automatically kill him?
What do you mean?
Like, say you enter a room and it has the boss guy in it.
You can choose to attack it, or you can choose to run away because you know you can get killed.
Okay, so this boss guy is gonna have to have like some kind of following mechanism.
No. If it just stays in the room, then it can. Then once you kill it, you win the game. It doesn't really need to follow you.
Okay. Yeah, that's cool.
You'll just be like, you walked into this room, the boss is there. If you don't have this badass gear, you will die.
I like it.
And then you can choose to attack it or to pee your pants and run off from badass gear.
And if you attack it, you're dead.
You'll fucking die.
The game over. Fuck yeah.
Game over.
Fuck yeah, brother. Do we put bosses minions everywhere? No. Okay. Just boss.
Just boss.
Just boss. This complex
That's
just has one guy.
That's a giant
It's gonna ejaculate all over.
Basically, that's what's going to happen.
Ejaculate acid.
Oh, you could make this really, really offensive.
What?
It's a Jewish based game. I get circumcised penis.
Oh, that is the most offensive game. Condom for each room. Okay. So the boss guy's definitely a penis now.
No.
Oh, what's the condoms for?
You just not have them. Take.
This game sounds like it's going to take forever to code.
There's obstacles that you can't actually go okay. You can't go
Yeah, I'm a Green Power Ranger.
Green Power Ranger?
Sick.
Green Power Ranger sounds nice.
Guys, come on. Who are you next? I need my whole
Open chest. Take.
Pick up items.
Look.
Display the items.
Not commands.
Keep it simple, mate. Okay.
And then, what about walking? Would you use it? Okay. Can use the ASCII thing.
Yeah, that was what I had.
What do you want to do? Now what? Is that all we need to do? Oh wait, we have to do this bit.
I thought that you had to test.
Oh, okay. We have to wait for him to finish.
What's up? Do you want to fight, Sid?
square on the map.
Fucking Mongolian children. Get in the Mongolian children. Allegedly. Allegedly.
Alright, guys.
Do you want to have a look at ours? The client.
Okay, good. Guys.
Make us feel like fools.
No.
Yeah.
Guys, I want you guys listening in to how we're approaching this. Come around. And you can...
Hey.
Okay. No, I am listening. You've actually done this well as a client. I'm the engineer. Okay? You guys are a well-funded investment group who have come up with an excellent idea for a computer game that's going to take the world by storm. Or so you think. Okay?
Nice.
I'm the expert coder. You know nothing about coding, right?
Okay.
Hello.
Howdy. So, it's going to be a text-based adventure in a maze format.
Okay.
You will have an inventory There will be items to collect, i.e. keys, swords and armour.
Okay.
There'll be a basic combat system. There'll be a health system, and there'll be, that's that. The inventory will be 4 slots.
Okay.
It will be a 5x5 layout of
Okay. Square grid.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah.
Sci-fi themes.
Okay. Cool. Yeah.
Hasn't really been figured out yet.
No, that's cool. You can write the story.
Weapons will have a set range of damage, i.e. they will do 1 to 3 damage or 4 to 5, and be controlled by a randomized function.
Okay.
Yeah. Equipment slots are separate to inventory, so you'll have a helmet, a chest, and pants.
Okay.
Sword counts as one of the inventory slots there.
Yep.
There'll be 2 different types of keys.
Okay.
Silver keys to open the chests,
Yeah.
which will have your weapons and armor in them.
Okay.
Is this too complex yet? Or are you...
It's far too complex. But you're actually doing a really good job at describing your system. You're doing a very good job. I'm just letting you go because it's actually magical.
Wait, it's too complex.
Yeah.
And you'll get gold keys to open doors.
Okay.
Keys will be found on the floor, which you can find by using a look command,
Okay.
which will say there's this on the floor.
Yeah.
You take it with the take command. And you move from room to room with your arrow keys.
Arrow keys, good. Okay. So movement arrows. Okay, so if you were to complete this, I'd be asking how the... I don't want to get into this right now because we're going to trim this down. It's too ambitious, but it's good.
Sweet.
But it would be, okay, you've done movement commands? Excellent. Okay. I'd like to hear how battle actually works. I'd like to, I'd like to see which keys you're going to be pressing to actually have a fight with something, how you engage something, because there's a whole dynamic, there's a whole algorithm thing going on here about what you're wearing, what you're fighting with, who you're fighting, all that sort of stuff. Like, it's going to get quite complex. But that would be where I'll be going with the next few questions. You've actually covered it better than anyone else. I don't have that much to give. Except, now we're going to cut it down. Because there's far too much there. The first few things, brilliant. Okay? Up to about there. I would say, at the most, so start with the delivered product as a maze, or as a world that you walk through. And at the most, add one more dynamic to it. In terms of, there are keys and you open chests and nothing more. Or you have an inventory, like 4 things in your pocket, right? And there's things around and you pick them up, but nothing else. You can drop something or pick it up, but those things don't do anything. And I know this sounds really boring, but just this would be the steps to building up the fuller game, right? So you're testing one part of your puzzle, one thing, right? So you got your maze and your movement, and then you have something else. Now it might be you're wearing something, it might be, and I don't recommend it, but the fight module, okay, where you're fighting something, because that can get quite complex, okay? But what else did you have there? So you had keys and chests, you had wearing stuff, and you had carrying stuff.
Yep.
Choose one of those, adjust those, and I'll show you why in the next lesson. But these are what are called modules of your game, and if you code these right, it doesn't matter what they are or when you add them on, because they're just like adding a slot to your game. And if you have so basically the idea is, if you have your world set up that's not breaking ever, you've got your person and he's moving and he's moving, and all the text is working smoothly, everything's sweet, right? Once you have that, then you can add something where he's in this room, he sees something, okay, now I'm going to pick it up. And then you add a separate bit of code that is almost independent of your world, that just works. Alright, he's in this room, he picks something up, now that's stored with him. Now he moves, everything's as before, it's separate. Now he decides to pick something up, this bit of code runs. Does that make sense?
Yep.
So it's like you can think of it like an expansion pack. It's a module of code that you have allowed to be added, but it could be added or taken away. It just adds that extra thing. So these things are great, but if you make the code solid at the foundation, then you can add these things to the code. Okay? And that's part of this design process. So what I want you to do is build up that really base world first, just the basic maze, and maybe add one dynamic, but keep it modular, keep it solid. Do you understand what I mean by modules?
Yeah,
modules.
I get what you mean by modules.
Alternate systems, so combat system that pick up.
Yeah. So it can also work. So modules works, again, this is so, they teach it differently in every single subject, but it's the same thing. It means a different component that you could literally plug in or take out and change with something else as long as it did the same task. Okay? So in an English essay, you've got an introduction, okay, and then a paragraph on, I'll just mark an essay on the circuit system. So it's like introduction, paragraph on the arteries, paragraph on the veins, paragraph on the capillaries, conclusion. Right? You guys have done that sort of stuff before, right? Now, someone else, if you've got it set out like that, someone else you could take out that paragraph on the arteries, and someone else could write that without looking at it. Go and just something. I said, hey, I want a paragraph on arteries. You could then plug that in, and the whole essay would still read the same, right? I mean, word for word, it's different, but that paragraph has done the same job that it was meant to do, which was give information on arteries, right? And you could do veins and stuff. Now, you see, hardware, electronics. One of the modules you have in your phone is your battery. Okay. And when your battery stops working, you can just replace it. iPhone's terrible for it, but let's just say you've got your battery. Okay. What's the output of a battery? What's the output? What's the purpose of a battery? Power. Yeah. So power at a certain voltage that lasts a period of time, but a certain voltage, that's all it needs. Okay. That fits into this space. Now, if I go and design, and you've got a battery in here, it only lasts 6 hours at the best of times. Now, experts in batteries go and come back with a better technology for a battery that lasts 12 hours, but can still have that same voltage. Then you can unplug this one and put that one in. Still works exactly the same, just better, right? So it's modular. So when we say modular, it means it's a component that we can just take out and replace with the same thing or something better. It doesn't matter. The iPhones are particularly bad for being modular. They've made that way on purpose, because if you break the screen, the best thing to do is just replace the whole phone. They love that because you pay more money, right? But Google are currently building. Go research it. Google are building a modular phone.
Yeah,
Which, I forget what it's called. Might be, But the idea would be, you have the base kit, the base sort of, thing, and it's like, oh, you want a better screen? Go pay for a better screen. It'll still plug onto this. Oh, you need a better battery? Go get a better battery. Just unplug that one, put this one in. They're just little blocks that they're almost like Lego that just fit onto your thing. Now, your RAM or your memory or whatever, right? I mean, at the moment you've got these SD cards and they're modular, right? Because you can replace them with like a 16-bit gigabit or a 32 or whatever. But, like if you imagine like a Lego piece, oh, I need a better memory, I'll just replace that one. Okay. Oh, I need a better battery, that one. Oh, camera, I've got a really cheap camera, it's not really working. I'll go research a different one. Oh, I want these specs. Plug that in, and so it's completely modular. You can design your phone however you want to design it. So it's the same with code. Exactly the same with code. It's just, and code's like a paragraph, right? It's just, but the thing to do, sorry, I'm going to get a pen here. The really important thing to do with code is whatever your code does, just say it does this. These are my inputs. These are my outputs. Okay. Now, my inputs might be, let's for example say the user presses a button. Okay. Now, what does my code do with that information? And really, so what does it do? And really what matters is what the outputs are. So if the user presses H, I want a help menu on the screen. Now, how that happens, who cares, right? You could go write this code one way, you could go write it a different way. But as long as you plug it into the system and say, hey, I'm giving you this input, which is from the user, and my output must be the help menu, it doesn't matter, right? But you need to design it that way, because if you write your code line by line, and it's a massively long bit of code, the bits that do this might be written here, might be written here, and further down here. So you can't just untangle that and unplug it, right? So you write it as a subroutine, a module, subroutine. Your subroutine is separate bits of code, written separately. And you write it, subroutine, help menu. Input is H. Output is help menu. Now, what this does, or how it happens, who cares? Who cares? But it does this. And then you can write all your code this way. Plug it in, unplug it, do all this. And, this could be done in C, it could be done in Pascal, it could be done in whatever. Who cares? I could do it. I could sit a human here and with a screen, and when he sees the letter H, he types the help menu out on the screen of the person. It does the job. Who cares? Right? Okay. Yeah. Yep. So anyway, that's the thought process I'm going to get you into. But really, really well designed. Let's simplify it so you can actually get something working. Right?
Yep. What do we want to cut down on?
Okay. Well, I was thinking that we could also finally redo it. So we could keep the inventory.
Yep.
There's no comments.
Yep. For help, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
Help with
So he'll move from room to room. You can pick up key to the doors, but you could also keep the
yeah. Okay.
You could look through the wall, and there's a riddle on the wall.
Yeah.
Then go to door.
Whatever number.
Type the answer to the riddle. And
some of the dialogue is going to be based around. Do you think we should have
yeah.
That works.
Cool.
So then we remove the chest and armor and weapons. Then we just have the room system and the mace. And maybe if we really get into it, if we want it to end at some point, we add a special item that's only one thing in the whole game that ends it. Like if you find that item, say it's a special key, it's sci-fi, so it takes you up in space or something.
Yeah.
And then the game ends because you found your alien friend.
Yeah. Let's bring size down.
Yeah. Let's put it back down to 4x4 instead of 5x5 because that's huge. And we'll keep it sci-fi because sci-fi awesome.
I guess you could that'll make it interactive.
Or no,
Let's not
because it's just keys.
So
We got the keys.
Dungeon.
Dungeon. Okay.
Southwest, and you come back to the same place.
Dungeon.
Yep.
But what you're talking about is how much the agrees with it, where I can continue to here.
Yeah, I think that would work better for the game when thinking of.
Yeah, okay. So it's grid-based.
Yep.
So that's on course. Yep. How big do you want it?
What does each one open?
Different door.
Okay.
I mean, I'm also rebels pulling my back.
There's a lot of text.
Maybe 3
Got 5 minutes.
What do you want?
We're going to want a 3x3 grid actually.
Regardless if you can.
Maybe later on we'll have at least we'll have the option to expand our grid if we choose to.
Well, these are 3 floors map that you will be happy with. And this 3x3. Well, yeah, I don't care about that.
So we might just
I think because of the
Yeah, because we don't need to fight.
If the grid was like, what I'm talking about is this one.
I think that's it.
We'll start that and then.
Listen to me. So he just
See, this is how together we start here.
so
We have to make these like those ones. But the computer will only process the squares and it won't take in these like data. So I think we have to double that together. But instead it'll be like this. 1, 2, 3, and the walls will be like
Extra.
so you've got
it won't be hard to code them.
Another door. Or gives you a key.
Pardon me?
To open the door, it could give you a key.
It just depends on how we want to implement it.
Yeah. But that's just an extra module. Noise. Where do we keep this stuff? Oh, that's it.
what else? We got
have objects that you need to like this. Probably only going to be less than 10.
Oh, you're splitting it up into modules.
Start is also going to be where the
so you have to.
Yep.
Maybe there'll be like multiple things.
There's going to be a lot of sub-programs if we did that one. A minute.
And you want to have